Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
It's time!
Welcome back to another Thursday. Well, Thursday. Good. I'm already trying to get to the weekend. Tuesday night. Today is Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, and we are going into another Q&A session, questions and answers, where I answer your questions from the chat or questions that I've sourced across the internet. And I think tonight I am going to try something new. I will drop a link in the chat so that you can call in and ask me your questions. All right. I don't think I will put anybody on the screen tonight, but we should be able to hear you if you decide to click the link and call in to ask your question. So there will be questions that I sourced. There will be available to answer questions from the chat, or if you want to call in, feel free to click the link and call in as well, and we will take it from there. All right. So let's get through our agenda first. Right. So first things first. Thank you to all of the newest subscribers to the channel. Always appreciate you for helping us grow, and I hope that I'm adding tons and tons of value into your life.
I appreciate you.
All right, and shout out to all of the tech barbarians who are in the Patreon, who are working hard every single day. You guys are very impressive. I really, really love to see how much effort you're putting in to getting that 1% better every single day. All right, and what's next on our agenda? Okay, so what is our live show schedule? So we have our Sunday afternoons where we have software explorations. This past Sunday, we explored AWS Secrets Manager. Pretty cool software. We pivoted from Terraform because I'm going to have to work on a project using it, so I wanted to get familiar with it. And yeah, so we'll be getting back to Terraform this coming Sunday. So Sunday afternoons, software explorations. Tuesday nights, tonight, we have our Q&A sessions where I go and I find questions across the web, primarily Q&A session, Q&A, primarily QA software testing questions, but sometimes we do dive into career advice, or we go into, sometimes into software development, maybe sometimes a little bit of cybersecurity or data engineering. It depends, but mostly it is QA, quality assurance type questions. All right. And then We have Thursday nights where we have software explorations, where we go over you typically it's a QA related topic. Um, this past last week, Thursday, we went into the page object model. We went and we were refactoring the Uber Eats project that we created in Java when we did our Python versus Java automation comparison. And we're refactoring that into the page object model. So we will continue with that this coming Thursday to finish that up. Hopefully that gave you hopefully that went well with last week's video of the page object model overview. And then we went into implementing the page object model, and we're going to finish that up. So hopefully that helps. Please, if you have any questions, ask it in the chat or leave me a comment on the videos, whatever it is, and I will make sure that I answer your comments and I answer your questions, and I'll get back to you and help you in whatever way that I can. All right. So one more time, the live show schedule is Sunday afternoons, software explorations, focusing on Terraform right now. Tuesday nights Q&A sessions where I answer your questions, and Thursday nights we have software explorations where we are right now focusing on the page object model. Okay. And now we get to our pre-recorded content where we have Mondays, we have candid conversations. It feels like these past few Mondays we've been focused in on bad LinkedIn advice. And so yeah, check it out. Candid conversations. Those are very, very good because it's about the mindset. And I think because of the mindset that a lot of us that most people carry, that is why they cannot get to where they really say they want to be, right? So check out the candid conversations on Mondays. All of the pre-recorded shows, they are released at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have Wednesdays, software explorations, concept and overviews, where we will go over different softwares, different tools. Tomorrow we're going to be going over test automation frameworks and their purposes and how to pick one. So check that out tomorrow. I am just about to finish editing that video. We'll be uploading it to be available for you guys tomorrow. And Fridays, we have the Bug Bite, where we review different software, industry-related bugs, how it affected companies. Sometimes they might be related to security breaches. Sometimes it might be to bugs. We've touched on automotive bugs. We've touched on social engineering. So many different things that we review on the Bug Bite. So check that out on Fridays. So once again, Mondays, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software explorations, concept and overviews. And Fridays, the Bug Bite. And then throughout the week, we chop up these Q&A sessions into short, bite-sized pieces so that you can have quick answers. Because, sometimes you just can't sit for a whole 2-hour stream where we're talking about, where we're answering different questions. You might just need one question, so I make that available for you as well, all right? And last but not least, if you have not done so yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time that we go live and every time we release a new video, because that's how you're going to stay informed, and that's how you're going to get that amazing tech industry content that you need. All right. And last but not least, like the video, share the video with somebody who will find it useful. And if you haven't done so yet, by the way, check out the Patreon. I just released a video in there yesterday about what questions to ask in an interview, right? Because we always go into the interview where we're expecting them to ask us questions, but they always ask us, do you have any questions for us? And you don't know how many times I've seen people say, no, not really, or they ask like a really, really bad question. I'll tell you this, right? When you ask a bad question in an interview, that's a turnoff for the interviewers, right? Because they're like, why don't they have any questions for us? Like, why don't they care? So asking good questions in an interview can seal the deal. Like if they're on the fence, you asking good questions, that will definitely seal that'll help seal the deal. And guess what, right? Guess what? You wouldn't even believe this. One of my Patreon members, right? I was chatting with them and they had an interview today. They watched that video yesterday and they had an interview today, and they asked one of the questions that I suggested in the video, and they had good feedback, right? So I'm waiting to hear back from them to hear the final results of the interview, but I am pretty confident in, and the question that they asked, and the answer, the feedback that they got from that question, it was gold, right? Like, and to me, even if they didn't end up getting the offer, I think the feedback that they got from the interview based on those questions takes you on the right direction, on the right path to go to, right? So check out that and tons of other information in the Patreon, including a link to my resume so you can see how I formatted it. So you can follow it as a template, so you can see why I have it that way, and other little ways that you can quickly ramp up to being, more productive in the tech industry, right? And as well as you have the opportunity to sign up for one-on-one coaching calls with me if that interests you. So check it out. The link is pinned to the top of the chat. All right. So that is that. All right, so let's get into this. The show format that we're going to follow is we're going to have 5 minutes per question. So I'm going to read the question, then I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes, and then I will do my best to answer those questions within the 5 minutes because every single week and I'm going to try my best just for good guy's sake to remember to set the timer. No promises, but every week he gets on me. He's like, "Oh, you need to automate setting the timer." I'm like, "Oh God, I know." All right, so that's where we are going to go. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to drop the link to. If you want to call in, I'm going to drop the link, right? And that way, you will be able to call in to the show live and we can have a conversation if that's what you wish to do. All right. So let me do this. Let's do it like this. Mm, We'll try that. And let me put that to the top of the chat. All right. So if you have a question, you can click on the link if you want to call in and we can have a conversation and I can answer your question in real time and we can go back and forth because, you might have a follow-up question that you want me to answer or maybe you need clarification. By all means, call in and we can have a conversation. All right. So, and before we get started into our questions, I wanted to read an article that our good friend, our good pal, Don sent us in regards to the video that I posted today about the video that I posted today about feeling underappreciated as a SDET, a software development engineer in test, or a QA in software development. To be honest, I don't even remember what I said in that video, but if if I recall correctly, or what I would have said is that I've never felt underappreciated in QA or doing the work that I do because I always look to find the little gaps and the little holes that to add value, right? So, and before I go on, right, 'cause just to reiterate this, right, the reason that I never feel that way is because I look for the gaps. I look for the holes. I don't take it. I don't go into the mindset like, oh, that's not my job. Oh, that's not my job. I see it as the number one goal is customer satisfaction, right? And if I can alleviate some of the pressure that the developers might have or that my engineers might have, um, then I'm like, all right, what can I do to help? Right? That's my goal. What can I do to help so that I can always be looking to add value to the team that I'm working on, and even to the extent of to the teams that I'm not working on, right? If I can add value, if I can add some insight, if I can add some expertise, right? And and even like to the greater QA chapter, always looking to mentor more junior QAs so that they can grow and they can be amazing SDETs and QA engineers as well, right? that's my goal, right? And that's why I believe that I've always seen myself as a pioneer in the field, and trying to be innovative, trying to be creative, learning what I have to learn, taking the first step so others can follow, right? And that's why that I will have many different people reaching out to me saying, "Oh, I see the work that you're doing. Oh, I like your style," all of that, right? Because I want to innovate, I want to pioneer, and that's why I've never felt underappreciated in my career working in QA. And maybe if I did start to feel underappreciated, I made adjustments before I even noticed that I was feeling underappreciated, right? There's like that's not to say there's never been any stressful moments, but it's not because of underappreciation. It might be because of processes or something like that. But at the end of the day, I haven't felt underappreciated, and I think it's part of the way that you see it, the vision that you have, right? So, but I want to get into this article that Don shared with me. Um, should I share this? I get it. Interestingly enough, the person who wrote this article is named Donald Johnson. So I'm wondering if Mr. Donald Johnson is the Donald Johnson that I know. All right. Anyways, let's we'll share the article. It is Mr. Donald Johnson. All right. All right. I see what's going on here. I see what's going on here. All right. So let's do this. We'll read this together. Why don't we? All right. So the article is entitled "The Underappreciated Role of SDETs and QA in Software Development." It says some people harbor the misconception that software development engineers in test, SDETs, or quality assurance professionals are underappreciated, merely existing to ensure that a purple button turns green when clicked. This oversimplified view does a disservice to the critical role that testing plays in software development. More than just regression, QA is about much more than tedious regression testing and ensuring key functionalities work. There's a deeper approach to testing that is often overlooked. For example, SDETs and QA analysts can conduct tests to verify if the business models are functioning as intended. This type of testing is of immense importance any business by to any business by examining how different features and operations align with the company's objectives. QA helps in steering the project towards long-term success. Shout out to Mr. Donald Johnson so far. Analyzing business logic through multiple scenarios. Furthermore, SDETs and QA teams can simulate millions of different use cases against the business models. These scenarios help in understanding the robustness of the system, and the findings can be crucial for business decisions. These exercises offer invaluable insights into the limitations and the opportunities that the current model presents, aiding in business optimization and risk mitigation. All right, so as we continue reading this, I want anybody who, and this is not just limited to QA engineers and SDETs, right? This goes on beyond like pretty much all roles, right? But we're focused on the QA and the SDET, right? Greetings to you, Miss Randy. So happy to have you here. Always appreciate it. Thank you so much, Miss Randy, for being here. All right. So what I want what the point I'm trying to say, right? The goal, whatever your role is to add value, right? When we approach it with the mindset of that's not my job, that's when your value starts to diminish. All right. So let's keep going a bit, right? Where did we stop off? All right. So specialized testing methods. When choosing a career in testing, it's essential to understand that specialized test types of testing, like exploratory ad hoc testing and programmatic permutation testing, are instrumental in examining the business logic of your organization. These tests push the boundaries of what the application can handle and often uncover hidden issues that wouldn't be apparent in standard testing environments, ensuring market fit. Through different kinds of specialized testing, you may discover that your business model doesn't align with the market you're aiming to serve. This discrepancy is crucial to identify early on, and it's the QA team's findings that can guide a business back on course. The guardian of the QA galaxy. All right. So, if you think that a career in testing is a dead end, you're probably not grasping the full picture.
Message.
View view testing as being the guardian of your company's quality because that's what it essentially is. An effective QA process is often the difference between a satisfied customer and a public relations nightmare. In conclusion, SDETs and QA professionals are far from being underappreciated or expendable. They play a vital role in shaping the software, ensuring that not just the user interface, but the underlying business logic and market alignment are sound. Far from being a bottleneck or a checkmark, they are the guardians of software quality, ensuring that the end product isn't just a functional, but also a robust, a reliable, and aligned with the business goals. So, I don't even like I said, I don't remember exactly what I said in that video, but this is right on, right? When thinking about and I'm gonna post this link in the chat as well because this is a very important article that I think is invaluable, right? Right. Check out that article, right? And create an account, subscribe to this newsletter because I think that there will be invaluable information here, right? Get all these, right? So definitely check those out. All right, all right, all right. So let's do this. So one thing I wanted to touch on as well, right, is that give me a second. So one thing I wanted to touch about, right, is where in the article it mentions that that far from being underappreciated or expendable. So you gotta realize as well, right? When there needs to be some sort of quality assurance, but you also need to make sure that you are leveling up your skills and that you are not I've seen so many questions and posts talking about, oh, I just want to do manual testing forever. Well, if you're not moving forward, if you're standing still at that, right, you're already moving backwards because um, there's serious competition out there, and um, like if you can't keep up, then you're going to get passed over. So always continue to level up your skills, always continue to get better, and you know, don't hold on to the past. All right, keep getting better and moving forward because if you want to stay in the same stagnant spot, then trust me, one of my tech barbarians, they're going to walk right past you and take everything that's yours. And you know why? Because that's what I'm training them to do. Right? We're monsters. All right, and we're going to win. We're going to win. Right? So shout out to Don for that amazing article, and shout out to the tech barbarians who are engineered to win. All right, all right, all right. Let's get into our questions. By the way, before we even go on, I have in my to-do list to start creating these shorter videos that are like simple breakdowns of how certain technologies work. I am working on that, and I look forward to getting to that very soon to make that available to you because, I think we are more willing to try things the easier that they are to understand and the easier that they are to, to get into. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm looking into how soon I can get that up for you, right? So let's get to our questions, why don't we? Let's get our clock up and we shall reset that. All right. So where are our questions? Okay. So well. What an interesting first question. Let's get to it. And remember, if you want to call in, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. All right. First question.
Another one.
Leaving QA testing and a bit sad. I accepted a job as a BA, a business analyst, yesterday. I decided to leave QA, manual, and automated testing because I can't deal with the devs acting like they are smarter, better, more important than me. We're all on a Scrum team together, but they refuse to fix things that I identify with a product owner or their dev manager's boss telling them to. Okay, so they mean that the devs refuse to fix the things that they identify without their product owner or their dev manager's boss telling them to. I'm treated like a secretary, even though I have more domain knowledge than they do combined. They tell me what to do. They tell me what to test as if I don't already know. And they are never actually comprehensive and tell me when they don't want me to test. I could add so much value, but they treat me like a lower member of the Scrum team. I thought a move to business analyst would take the parts of QA I like and lose the parts I don't like, but now I'm feeling like I'm giving up on QA. Not because I don't like QA, but because I don't like the team. But then again, I really just like automation. Manual testing bores me quite a bit. I should add, I'm split between two Scrum teams, and the other one is amazing. And my contributions are respected and valued, so I know it's just the team. I do logically think it's a greater career move with better pay and more aligned with the skills I bring from a different career. Is this normal resignation second guessing? Have you second guessed when you are about to resign? All right. So here we are. So the first thing I'm going to say is I was a bit taken aback and a bit disgusted by the fact that they said that the person who wrote this said that where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? They said, I could add so much value, but they treat me like a lower member of the Scrum team. So, first and foremost, I am going to say this, right? There are no, zero, zilch, nada, no lower members of the Scrum team because Scrum was designed for everyone to have equal footing, equal playing field, right? And if you, the person who's posting this article or question, is seeing that there are members that are part or there are lower, or if you can identify that there are lower members of the Scrum team, then the way that you envision it is wrong, right? And maybe that's the way that you feel that way because you see them as higher than you because you also see other members of the Scrum team as lower than you, and that is a bad way to see things, right? So we're gonna break this down, right? But I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost because the Scrum process works and it's been working for quite a while. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, right? Nothing is perfect, but it's the most efficient way. It's the closest to perfect that we have thus far. But if you are feeling underappreciated, undervalued, and then you're also saying that there are lower members on the Scrum team than you, right? You're also saying that there are higher members than you, and that is not the way to see it, right? So that's the first part. Now, let's start breaking this down, right? So you're a bit sad. Okay, cool. Um, so you decided to leave because you say that the developers are acting smarter, better, and more important than you. My question is, why is that the case? Right? Um, see, and there's a bit of an ego problem here too, because you also say that you're taking a slight diss at your developers because you say that they treat you like a secretary even though you have more domain knowledge than they do combined, right? And this question goes right in hand with our very first one, right? It goes right in hand with what we were reading from Don about feeling underappreciated, undervalued, and all that stuff, right? The part of the problem that is going on here is the mindset. And one of the things that we preach here so much is about mindset. The approach that you're taking, it's a negative approach, and you're it's so hard to be successful with that approach, right? You say that they are like you say that they act smarter, like they believe that they're smarter than you, better than you, more important than you. Well, maybe that's how you. It's possible that's how you feel about yourself, and now you're projecting that. The problem that I've seen with QAs in general, right? And this is the through my whole 15 plus years in QA, right? The biggest problem that I've seen in QA, testers, analysts, engineers, all types of QAs, right? Is that the lack of confidence and the lack of assertiveness, right? I'm not going to use this example, but the, so like I said, right? It's the lack of assertiveness, right? You are not confident in the issues that you're finding, and you kind of like you want to lean on them on other people instead of like being assertive and saying, "Hey, I think this is a problem. This is and providing." See, how have I been effective in QA? Right? This is how I've been effective. I don't just report an issue, right? Because I could just say, okay, oh, this button isn't showing on the page, right? Cool, great, perfect, right? That's a bug, that's a defect, right? And then we go and we send it, and they'll fix it or whatever, right? But what I've always been willing to do, right, is to go the extra mile. It might be half a mile, it might be a quarter mile, but I just go a little bit more to help the person who is working with me and on something that I reported to lighten the load just a little bit because developers, just like QA, they're busy, right? And they're writing code and they're trying like you act like they want to provide you defective software. That is not their goal. That is so, and that's part of the thing. Like it really frustrates me when QA and managers are like, um, they use it as a metric that it's good to find a lot of bugs. I don't think that's good. I think that is I think finding bugs is what is the word that I'm looking for? It's a necessary evil, right? Because we don't want to deploy software that have bugs in there, right? But I would prefer to prevent the bugs from ever happening in the first place, so we can like deploy faster, reduce inefficiency and stuff like that. So when I am like reporting defects to engineers and developers, right? I will go and I will look into the source code, look into the console to see what is causing that, right? Like if it's a React project, right? I'm looking to see, okay, what JavaScript errors that I'm getting, and then I'll put that. I'm like, hey, when I was checking this, and when this error is happening, when I click on the button and the error is happening, then this is coming up in the console, right? And this is something to check into, right? So I'm always going to add value in those spots, right? But then, like, I have absolutely no problem I have no problem jumping into different areas as well to be able to be part of the team. Because, like I've said before, the only thing that matters is the results. My goal is to add value to the team, right? And by doing that, we're able to get along better. We're able to, and then by me looking to add value, then they look to add value to me too to help me. Because I've had developers who jump in and write automated tests, right? Like if I'm unavailable, if I'm busy, if I'm doing something, and I have the test plan ready for them, then they'll jump in and they'll help. Especially like when you're the only QA person on the team, and what if you need to go on vacation, right? How do you do that, right? And that's the thing that happens by having good relationships with your developers, right? Not thinking that they believe that they are quote unquote better than you and all that stuff, but by working together with them, right? Then it's a better team environment, right? So that mindset, like, and here's the thing, right? Being part of the team, I'm willing to jump into anything that I have the knowledge and capability to do, right? So if we need to write some like postmortems and stuff, I have no problem jumping into that. I if we need to do some whatever the case may be, like I said, I wrote some Docker stuff to help Dockerize certain softwares. It doesn't matter to me, right? Because it's a team based mentality. Everyone is on equal playing fields on the Docker on the Scrum team, right? So whatever it is, I'm willing to help. Let me know what you need, and I'm there. And I think when you approach it with that mentality, then you are able to get more buy-in to your team. All right. So that is so now that regret that you're feeling from switching. I mean, if I have ever second guessed when I was about to resign, absolutely not. When I'm gone, I'm gone. All right. So when I'm gone, I'm gone. It is what it is, and that's how it goes. I don't regret, and when I have left, I've always excelled into greater territories. Always learned new things. Always pioneered forward because if I didn't leave my first QA job, as high as I got over there, I wouldn't have got into Docker. I wouldn't have got into API testing. I wouldn't have got into so many things that I got into, right? And then from that previous company, then I was able to get into a whole nother industry and learn from there, and get familiar with different technologies, and then to where I'm at now. It's just always pushing forward, never regretting. I don't regret the decisions that I make. The only regrets that I might have is that I didn't do it sooner. All right. So that's that. All right. So shout out to that question, and I hope you figure it out because if you have these problems as a Q engineer or SDET or whatever your title is, it is possible that you can also have those issues in whatever role because it's not about the position or the role, it's about the mindset. And you need to adjust your mindset to be successful. All right. And we have Melissa in the chat. Where have you been, Melissa? All right. She says, let's get this a little bigger. Oops. She says, hello, Tech Coach Ralph. Do you think that he sent is useful for someone that is already learning real languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript I just feel like I'm wasting my time on it at school. Let me do a quick search to see what in the world that peasant is. 'Cause I have never heard of that. Mm, I Can you clarify what you mean by peasant? I'm not familiar with that language and I can't find it on Google search. Yeah, clarify what that is because I'm not entirely sure. All right, and then I will come back to that question. But if I never heard of it, it probably is a waste of time. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, let's do try something here. And let's too wide. We're fixing it live. Boom, there we go. So we'll go right about here. Cool. So yeah, you probably are wasting your time at school. A lot of time is wasted at school, but it is a necessary evil nonetheless. So, but continue learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and get into your Node, you're into your web development, get into your React because as a barbarian, you have a lot of work to do, especially at your age, because we believe in winning as early as possible. All right. So shout out to you, Melissa, for checking in. And we can't wait for you to clarify what in the world is peasant. All right. Okay. Get to our next question. Another one. What database slash SQL client do you use? Personally, I love DataGrip, but it's paid. And when the trial expired, I would be looking for something else. Alternatives? And what do you like and don't like about it? You know, the reason that I have not downloaded DataGrip yet is because. Wait, did I download it? Let me see. Did I download it? Nope. I did not download DataGrip yet because I do not want to use that free trial yet. Right? I am waiting until I have necessary use for it before I download it because I am a JetBrains fanboy. Yes, I admit it. My name is Tech Coach Ralph, and I have a problem. I love all JetBrains softwares. And I mentioned the other day, right? I am upset with myself that I didn't just buy the whole suite. I only bought WebStorm because it was cheaper. And I'm like, oh man, I could have paid for the year and I could have gotten all of these could have gotten this whole I could have had data grip already and I wouldn't have to be waiting like an idiot to get it. But I'll tell you this, right? So first we'll go into the softwares that I use and then I will give you some advice. So let's see. I have on my computer DB browser for SQLite. And let me open it to see what if there's anything. So I mean, what I like about it, it's simple enough, I guess. What I don't like about it is it's not a JetBrains product. Okay, I'm not kidding, but you know what I mean. But I don't like about it. It looks like the interface is kind of to be desired. I don't see much ability to do much scripting in it. I must say I don't use it that much, but it's a software. It can get the job done, but it's not a JetBrains software. And then I have on my computer dbeaver, right? And I have the community edition for dbeaver. It is I've used that. I've used dbeaver for years now. Um and it's a cool software like but I the thing is with a lot of these as well, right? They might be specific to one particular type of database and you're not able to use them for across all databases, right? So So yeah, but I never really had like I don't do that much database testing to have that much of a problem with it. As part of the Patreon with the Tech Barbarians, we are building these applications so that the Tech Barbarians can develop experience in their respective fields, right? So what that means is like we're developing software. So I might end up needing to use database softwares a lot more. But like I said, with the nature that let's say for a DB for instance, right? Let me take a quick look to see the connections. So okay, so you can connect to. All right, so I'm looking at DBeaver right real quick, right? And from what I see in there, it can connect to tons and tons of databases. So that might be helpful. That might be a good alternative, right? DBeaver might be a good alternative because I'm looking at it. It can connect to MySQL, SQLite, DB2 for LUW, not for Linux, Unix, Windows driver, DuckDB, MariaDB, Oracle, Postgres, SQL, Apache, Calcite. Let's see. Let's see. I don't see yet. Let's see. Um, I didn't see Mongo. Yeah, I don't see Mongo in there. Maybe it can, but I don't know. I don't see Mongo in there because the no SQL. Like I see it says no SQL in there, but I didn't see it. Um, I mean, I see it says no SQL as an option, but I don't see it in there. So it's possible that it can't connect to Mongo, which connecting to no SQL databases is pretty like it's pretty important, you know. But I see that it connects to graph databases. So um, dbeaver might be a good option depending on your needs. It connects to Hadoop and big data databases. Yeah, yeah, I think that might be a good analytical Azure Databricks. Um, yeah, that might be actually a good option to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, like I think dbeaver might be like if you're looking for a free solution, outside of like the typical MS SQL like that you'd get with if you're set up a MS SQL with Microsoft, you can get the software as well that goes with it. But I would say I'd probably go with dbeaver. But what I was gonna say is don't be hesitant to pay for software that you find valuable, right? When I was looking at Datagram, I'm like, oh wow, I can connect to all these databases because I know I suspect that I'm going to be using a Mongo database we're going to be using MongoDB for the software that we're building, and I'm like, if there was any tool that I just like to stay in the family of the JetBrains, so then I would suggest that if you really enjoy using if you really enjoy using like JetBrains software, like DataGrip, then I would say, if you're getting it, like if you're if you're using it for your company, see if the company is going to pay for it, right? And if you're using it for your own personal use, make the investment, invest in yourself to use the right tools, use the proper tools, so that you can work efficiently, work comfortably. All right, invest in yourself. All right. So, shout out to that question. All right. And like I said earlier, if you want to call in, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. So hit the link if you want to call in if you have a question, right? And we can go from there. All right. So let's go to our next question.
Another one.
Should end to end test be inclusive of all features in a system is a halfway approach really acceptable? We have we are having rather we're having a rather complicated dispute at work around this question. We have a poorly maintained set of end-to-end BDD behavior driven development cucumber cypress tests which are in the process of which we are in the process of fixing, reworking into a usable, maintainable state. I attempted to add a new test to the suite, to which another developer interjected and stated that the test was too heavy on resource usage and the feature could potentially be covered through other means to save on resources. We had a long discussion about this and have ended up in a really murky place. I think that a murky slash picky approach to when tests should exist is bad. A feature built up of stories should be covered by end to end tests with no exceptions, or it calls the value of testing suite into question. They think we can and or should pick and choose what we want to write end-to-end tests for based on factors such as size and time. Basically, I am very much all or nothing, and they are explicitly wanting end-to-end tests almost like a last resort when things can't be tested by other means. In my opinion, random coverage erodes confidence and keeping what tests should exist as a murky topic will result in no one writing tests. Stumping is not really an option here, unfortunately. Thoughts? All right, all right, all right. I hope you like them apples. So our timer is up, and this one is a good question. So all right. You should not have an end-to-end test for everything, right? That is absolutely the worst approach that you can have. Because especially if he's okay, so let me just so BDD, so you're using end-to-end test with BDD, Cucumber, Cypress test, which the research. Okay, so what I'm anticipating from you using BDD and Cypress is that these are UI tests, right? And the thing with UI tests is they are very resource heavy. They take forever to run. They are very flaky, right? You should not be dependent on end-to-end tests for your end all be all. The end-to-end test should cover, to me, in my opinion, right? End-to-end tests should cover the critical workflows on your in your application, right? So, if we were to take an e-commerce, for example, right? I would say the tests that run, th- maybe every day, might be every hour, who knows, whatever. But they should be tests that are checking out the critical functionalities of checking out as an existing user, checking out as a new user, checking out as a guest, creating a new account, right? Logging into your account section, and anything else that is very critical that has the most traffic on the site, right? Um, go through that because those are like those parts have to work, right? But there's so many different features on a website, especially an e-commerce site, such as and part of those tests of like checking out and everything like that, you go through the most common path. So like you go through searching for a product, you go through choosing a size, right? You go through adding it to the cart, all the way till you get to that endpoint, right? You can have another one where you can navigate using the not the search, but using the navigation, like clicking on the women's category, clicking on the subcategory, like that, right? Hitting those critical parts of the site, but it's impossible to automate every single part of the site, right? So, what is the principle of QA? right? It's the testing pyramid. So, are there unit tests? That's the first question. How many unit tests are there, right? What can be what can be alleviated from the end-to-end tests, right? That can be handled by the unit tests, right? Let me Google this, right? So, testing pyramid, right? Uh, so we start off with this one that I'm looking real quick, right? It starts off with unit testing, right? Then component testing, then integration testing, and then it goes to UI and API testing, and then manual and exploratory testing, all the way at the top, right? I would definitely like I disagree with this pyramid because they have UI and API combined. Those should they are not the same. They should never ever be combined, right? UI API is part of it's its own, like, it can be part of the integration maybe, but it is not part of it should never be combined with UI. To me, um, the manual and the exploratory testing, they are almost the same as the UI test, maybe like right above it, right? But you need to test the business logic as separate as you can um from the UI. So what does that mean, right? Are you able to so you should be able to send a bunch of different parameters, right? To test the login, for example, right? Using the API layer, right? Maybe querying the database, whatever the case may be, right? But you should not be having to do a bunch of UI tests where you're testing, for example, oh, if I log in as the if I log in as the a valid user, an invalid user, all these different scenarios shouldn't be done on the UI. You should do that on the API, at least on the API level, right? To say, okay, if I send these different parameters, what is the result that I'm going to get? I need to make sure that the user is not able to log in and they're getting an error, right? And now on the actual UI, I could probably like and these tests won't even run on a daily basis. Maybe these tests would run on whenever like a new release is done, but it's going to test if like that an error message is showing, right? Um, but it's not like but we're not doing a bunch of tests on the UI, right? Most of the tests should be done on the business logic where you can run a multitude of tests and they run very, very quickly so you can get immediate feedback. You can't have like your tests running taking hours and hogging up all the resources because it's super inefficient, right? So I would have to side with your developers in this case, right? Because the way like you're not in a murky you think you're in a murky situation, but they are actually from what I'm reading, they are actually correct because um it's a bad approach to have every single scenario with end to end. There there's no all or nothing. You have to choose wisely. You have to approach a testing pyramid, right? You have to approach a testing pyramid, you know? And through that, that's how you will have a successful product testing and product launches and be able to have clear regression tests, right? Because of that immediate feedback, all right? So I would say go with your developers on this one and go to better structure your test because if you don't, you're going to end up in the same exact spot where you're going to be on a daily basis fixing, reworking unusable, unmaintainable tests on a daily basis. And you don't want to end up in that same spot having too heavy on resource usage tests. All right. So look into that. And, it's not all or nothing. Okay. It is never all or nothing. Approach QA in the right way. There is an art as well to QA. There's a science and an art, the same way that there is a science and an art to writing code. So please do yourself a favor and do it the right way. Okay. Alrighty then. So let's see where we're at now. All right. And if you want to call into the show, the link is pinned to the chat. And you know what? Let me add it to the description as well. The link is also in the description if you want to call in. All right. So let's get to our next question. All right. Let's see here.
Another one.
This one says, what's the market like at the moment? I'm not even getting initial interviews with HR. Would love to know where everyone's at. I'm primarily looking for remote jobs in the US with 10 years plus of experience. In 2022, I would have gotten 90% initial callback. Is this going to improve anytime soon? Is the whole tech field right now? Is it the whole tech field right now or specific to QA? So, that is a very wonderful question, but there's one word in here that is what is limiting your opportunity for callback, right? And it's probably more than just QA. It's probably like the majority of the tech field, right? Because a lot of companies are hiring on site or hybrid. And so many people, they they are like, I want remote, I want remote, I want remote. And they overlook the ability to land jobs because they don't want to go in the office, right? But if you don't want to go in the office, but somebody else is willing to, who's going to get the job, right? Until nobody is willing to go into the office whatsoever, and companies have no other choice, then it's going to be harder and harder for you. Um, in 2022, we were still experiencing some sort of quote unquote issues where it was not able to go back to the office. But now that it is, when again, it is a lot harder. And if we go, do a quick, I'm gonna do I don't like sharing the screen on these Tuesday night shows, but I'm going to do a quick thing just for you, right? Let's go for quality assurance engineer. And I'm going to share the screen in a second. Let's go to jobs. And we're going to go to before you. So let me share the screen with you. All right. So let's do this real quick, right? Let's put the cover up as well. All right. So if we do here and we do remote, so in the entire United States, right? So fintech Q engineer, 749 applicants, right? And we're just gonna go down one by one, right? Quality assurance engineer for charity engine, right? 935 applicants, right? Quality assurance automation engineer, 538 applicants. System quality assurance engineer, 256 applicants. Quality assurance tester, remote. So this one only 33 applicants. But it's also reposted, so you don't know when it was posted the first time how many it had, right? Biomedical software QA engineer, 788 applicants. Full stack QA engineer, 585 applicants. Quality assurance manager, 600 applicants. Product focused security engineer, 30. I'm not sure what that must be some type of different type of position, but this one only has 36 applicants. So, but it's only posted 15 hours ago as well. Quality assurance engineer, 132 applicants, posted 4 days ago. Foot Locker, 8 applicants, posted 2 hours ago. But we'll see how we check that tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And quality assurance manager, remote, 2 applicants, posted 2 hours ago. Software development engineering test, 367 applicants. I hope you see the point that I'm getting to, right? Hope you see the point that I'm trying to make here. So when you are saying that you're primarily looking for remote jobs in the US, you have 10 years plus experience, a lot of people have a lot of experience. And there are so many people applying for these remote jobs, right? Actually, we're gonna do one more quick test, right? So you saw the remote jobs, right? Let's change that real quick to on-site or hybrid. So Overland Park, Kansas, 24 applicants. Immokalee, Immokalee, Florida, on-site, 41 applicants. Software Q engineer, Marble, Marlboro, Massachusetts, 7 applicants. Posted 1 hour ago though. QA automation engineer in Anaheim, California, 17 applicants. Automated test engineer, 49 applicants. Quality assurance engineer, Plantation, Florida, 47 applicants. Quality assurance engineer in San Diego, California, 439 applicants. Quality assurance engineer, Tampa, Florida, Greenway Health, 117 applicants. Quality engineer, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, 39 applicants. So I hope you see the point, right? For those who are for those who are insistent on getting a remote job, um, as you can see, there weren't many of these jobs. Like all the ones that were posted for more than 2 hours, they had over hundreds of applicants, right? And when we were looking at the ones that are not remote, they might be hybrid, they might be on site. A lot a lot less competition, right? Because when you insist on remote, you are going against the entire country and sometimes the entire world, right? While when you are doing something that is more local or remote or more local or hybrid, because a lot of jobs they might say on site, but they still offer you the opportunity to be hybrid, right? So, but you have to you have to play the game for what it is, right? There's trends. The same way with the housing market, right? There are times where it's a buyer's market and there's times where it's a seller's market, right? It might not be a remote job, the market, right, at this moment, right? Because when I was looking for my position, I was ready to go into the office if I had to. Did I want to? Of course not. But you have to do what you have to do, right? You can't just say, "Oh, it's remote or nothing," because it might end up actually being nothing. Okay, so you got to take that into consideration. You got to do the research. Like if you and the way that you say you're looking for a remote job in the U.S., I wonder if you're actually in the U.S. I don't know, right? But you said in 2022, we are not in 2022 anymore, my friend. We are in 2023, right? And you have tons and tons of competition. So, is it going to improve anytime soon? I would say probably not, right? If it's particularly looking for remote, and as well, what is the quality of your resume? Because think about this, right? Think about this. When it's a buyer's market, then you don't need as much qualifications as you do as when it's a seller's market, right? Because because the if your resume sucks, right? To put it frank, if your resume sucks and there are tons and tons of other resumes that might be better than you, or maybe they might suck just as much as you do, then it becomes like, randomly choosing someone or filtering out to the best resumes. And if you do not qualify as a good resume, then there is no need to contact you because of because it's like it's the market, right? Uh Companies will prefer that people come into the office. Do they still offer remote? Of course they do, but their preference nowadays is that you come into the office. And if your resume does not warrant you being necessary to be work remote, then my friend, it is going to be a lot harder. So if your resume sucks, I would say tap in with Tech Coach Ralph, have him review your resume, and have him give you some tips to enhance your resume so you can better land the chances of possibly getting that remote position. But there's at the same time, it is not a likely opportunity to land that remote. You just got to do what you got to do, and maybe once you land a position at a company, maybe that you might end up being able to go remote. But like I said, there are absolutely no guarantees that you will be finding a remote job anytime soon because the competition is fierce. All right, it is totally fierce. All right, so there goes that question. All right, let's get to our next question. All right. This one says if someone exceeds expectations at their job, does that give them large pay increases or does it mostly depend on the company they work for? Pretty much. I worked at jobs for about 5 years and I don't believe I've ever received exceeds expectations on a performance review. If I did, though, do you think I would most likely be making thousands of dollars more now or not necessarily? Have you received exceeds expectations often? If yes, do you feel like you've got large pay raises? All right. So this is an excellent question about pay raises and how to make more money. Okay, so let's put a timer up, right? So let's go point by point. If someone exceeds a lot at their job, does that give them large pay increases? I would say first it depends on the company, but most likely not, right? Why do I say most likely not, right? Because if you exceed your expectations at your company, then it probably means that you're not in the right position. And that's when they start looking for opportunities to promote you, to give you more responsibility. Because, in my understanding at least, the company doesn't, like, they don't really want you to, like, to continuously exceeding expectations because if you do consistently if you consistently exceed expectations, then you're not in the right spot, and that makes then you could end up feeling undervalued and looking elsewhere, right? And so that becomes like a liability for the company of losing someone who consistently exceeds expectations because that means you are overqualified for the position that you're in, right? Do I always strive to exceed expectations? Um, I do, but I also don't see myself as I always see myself as just trying to get better and not and like wow like I get better for myself and it benefits the company that I work for, but I'm always like the things that I do, like when you see me um on YouTube exploring new softwares, answering questions, I'm stimulating my mind to think better. Am I doing it for the company? Not exactly, but the company that I work for is a beneficiary, right? Um I'm I'm also like one of the things I do as well is I'm also trying to think and stimulate my mind to help the people that I coach as well to give them more insight to be pioneers for them as well. I pioneer for myself, and then I'm able to give that success to the people that I work with, right? Whether it is on the company, whether it's my coaching group, whatever the case may be, right? So, with that being said, does exceed expectation transfer to a large pay increase? If you get a promotion, then you might get a bigger bump in salary. However, if you get it at most companies though, when you are like there's the scale goes to like 5%, right? Where if you are doing terrible, you're either getting fired or you might get a 1% raise, if anything. If you are if you like need improvement, they might give you a 2% raise. If you meets expectations, then it's probably like a 3% raise. This is most companies, right? Not all companies, but about most companies. Um, if you are if you exceed expectations, then it might be like a 4% raise. And if you exceed or not exceed, but if you're doing like excellent or you're perfect, whatever, then it's like a 5% raise, right? Now, those numbers also depend on how much you're actually making, right? Because let's say you're making like $50,000 a year and you exceed expectations, then getting a 4% raise is not that much, right? 5%. Let's say you get excellent, right? A 5% raise is if a 10% raise is going to be $5,000, so then you get like $2,500 on top of your on top of your 50,000. So now you're making $52,500, right? So it's not that substantial to get like the better move is to get that promotion and get more responsibility, get a better title, right? Like in the past, I've been like, although of course I do want the money, but the money is not the most important part of it. The title is very important because you can leverage that title. So when you are ready to go to your next step in your career, you have a better title on your resume, and you can explain the higher responsibilities that you had, so that that can help you leverage yourself in when you're jumping to another career, right, or to another position in your career, right, another company, etc. Right. So to answer some more, you say that right. So we answered that part, right? So you worked at the company for about 5 years, and you don't believe that you've ever received exceed expectations on a performance review. They don't just give them out just like that, right? You really have to, because I don't think I've ever seen somebody get an excellent, right? But I've seen people get exceed expectations. I've gotten it a few times, right? Um, so it just means you're doing your job. You're doing your job right. You're not doing anything wrong. If you're getting meets expectations, you're doing your good job, right? There's nothing wrong with meeting expectations. I've gotten meets expectations plenty of times. I've gotten exceeds expectations a few times. It never bothers me, right? Because as long as I don't get a needs improvement, because then I know there's something wrong with me, and I know that I'm not doing a good job communicating with my manager. Because I believe that if I'm doing something wrong, I'll know way, way ahead of time, right? I don't need a review to let me know that I'm something wrong, right? So, but I would say always push yourself to get better, right? And that way you will exceed expectations, even if they don't like tell you that you're exceeding expectations. I know when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and here's the key, right? So now it says, if you did though, do you think I would most likely be making thousands of dollars more now, or not necessarily? It depends what you mean like by thousands, because I gave you an example, right? If you were to get that 5% raise, depending on how much you make, it's like 2,500. If you're making $100,000 a year, right? Getting a $5,000 raise, it's I mean it's more, but it's not the greatest, to be honest with you, right? Um, so the point that I'm making is that here's the point that I'm making. It's better for you to seek out promotions, whether it's internally inside your company or it's externally inside of another company, right? Because let's say, God forbid, the company doesn't have like you. Let's say you enjoy your company, right? You like your company, but they don't have higher positions for you that you are able to take, right? Well, I would say put yourself on the market. to see if anybody's willing to buy, right? And the luxury that you have at that is that you have a job, right? You're not forced to it's not like you're desperate for another position, but look to see your worth, right? Put your foot out, put your foot in the water, see what's available. Like there's been times in the past where I wasn't looking for another position, but I got reached out to and I said, "Oh, let me see what goes on." And then I ended up getting another position about 30,000 more than I was making previously, right? So, and I'll tell you this, 99% of the time, you are not going to be making um you're not going to be making the offer that you get staying within your company is not going to be even close to the offer that you get leaving your company, right? So consider that as well. It just depends on your priorities, depends on what you want and all that good stuff, right? So keep that in mind. And let me see if there's any other questions for this. And I'll say this, right? When I received exceed expectations, did I when I was very early on in my career and I was making like not that much money at all, I got I got like unconventional, right? Outside of the company norm bumps in pay, right? Like exceeded way more than 5%. But shortly thereafter, the responsibilities that I had also grew to different, promotions, starting to being transitioned into QA automation. So when you do get those big bumps in pay, you better expect it to follow with more responsibilities, promotions following soon, so that they can justify the amount of money they're paying you more, right? So that's the whole pay thing that comes with QA, but in general, any type of job that you get, right? Um, it's all about it's that cost benefit analysis, right? What value do you bring, and that value that you bring, um, can they leverage it to give you more responsibility in the roles that you fulfill? All right. Right. If you want to call in, the link is posted to is linked. If you want to call in, the link to call in is posted to the top of it's pinned to the top of the chat. If you have any questions, you want to talk to me one on one, we can do that now. So just click on the link and you can join the stream. And you don't even have to be on camera. All right. Oh, let me see. Let me check the chat. Oh, I see. I've been missing the chat. All right. So let me check the chat before we go on. Let's see here. He says the volume in the mic is going in and out. Could be the noise suppression is too high. Let me see. I think I might have slid the volume thing down a little bit. Let me know if it is better now. All right, let me go to. All right, let's see. Melissa says PSENT is a multi platform educational free software directed at people who are starting programming. The version for desktop operating systems interprets pseudocode. Oh, I mean, in that case, for you that is not really necessary because you are familiar already with HTML, CSS, learning JavaScript. So yeah, I could see why you would feel that it is wasting your time. But for your counterparts in the school, it might be very important for them to get started. All right. So thank you for that comment. All right, let's see. Jamar Parker says, I am currently learning SQL and Python on Free Code Academy. Do you know where I can put what I'm learning into practice? Um, I do have an idea for you, Jamar. Um, one of the people that I'm coaching, right? Mm, Let me see. I'm not 100% sure what exactly you're learning with SQL and Python, but what I would say is what I would say is the best way that I found in learning these technologies is making them applicable to me, right? So, what does that mean? I find something that I like, right? And then I build something that is going to give me interest. So it's gonna make me want to work on it, right? So, um, how could, so it depends, right? If you're still in the chat, right? Let me know something that interests you, and then I can formulate a strategy that you can use to learn it. So I'll give an example for myself, right? Um, for at least for the let me see. So I'll give you two examples, right? I'll give you one with SQL. One of the people that in the Patreon that I was coaching, they were studying SQL for applying for jobs and stuff like that. So I said that let's pick up on some new technologies here. So I said, all right, let's get Docker to install maybe like MySQL, right? And we're going to import a database into the MySQL that we installed, and then we're going to be able to query that database and things like that, right? Um, and and that way we get familiar with how to how to get a like we get familiar with Docker for one. We get familiar with how to import a database too, right? How to connect to a database from that we have installed locally through Docker. Then we have like how, after you import it, how to query it. So now you're using all your queries that you're doing. I would also see if we can find a database of some like maybe you like sports, for instance, right? Maybe we can find a database that has like some sports statistics, right? And then we can query that. I don't know, whatever the case may be, right? Another example that I have it was a quick thing that I did, like spur of the moment Patreon video that I did, where so I train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and one of my buddies that I train with, he had a list of tutorials, right, that he uses, and I have a list of my tutorials. So he's like, "Oh, let's combine our lists so we can compare to see what we have, and we can share resources." I said, "Okay, cool." So he sent me his list, and I was like, "All right." Um, a quick way I wanted to show the Patreon members of how you can apply what you're learning. I said, "All right, let me look at the source code. Let me see what API calls they have for the site that we use." And I was able to use Python to do an API query on that site to get a list of all of the classes that I have, and I was able to like take that list and put it into the Excel document, right? Or I think we use a Google Sheets, but same thing, right? And the point is that find things that interest you and look for quick little projects, right? So learning Python, you're probably going to be using like the request library to doing API calls. You're using Selenium WebDriver, whatever the case may be, right? But those are the things that I use. Another idea that like based on your current situation, right? Say learning SQL and Python, I would probably say maybe I could use the API call to pull in that data from the courses that I'm taking, like or the classes that I have, the tutorials that I have, the instructionals they call them, right? And then I can take that and I can structure that to input that information into a SQL database from Python, right? So different ideas like that. Those are like the strategies that I would use so I can make it learn what I'm learning, put it into practice for something that's worthwhile to me, right? It just depends on what interests you, and then you can um structure it that way. If you're still here, let me know something that would interest you, and I can probably strategize a way that you would be able to make it something that's worthwhile, something that you can visualize, right? Because to me, it's always like I always like to do it as like, what can I visualize to make it to make me remember it, right? And that's how I'm able to navigate through these different softwares and things like that. All right. So let me know, and we'll get to that. All right. So now, Melissa says, so PCent helps you understand the logic of programming, but it's not a real language. It's like a copy, but I'm already learning a real language, so I feel like it is a waste of time. Yep, I understand what you mean. Yeah, like I probably would just go to stick like because I know the other day you already started with Python and you already been looking at JavaScript, so I'll say stick to Python and JavaScript because it's not like a fake language is not gonna help you get anywhere, right? For you, you don't really need it, and you probably can understand the language, the piece set just by looking at it, and you can probably help your classmates and stuff like that. So continuing to add value to everywhere that you go, right? And D said better. You know what, D? Thank you so much for calling that out. I can't believe I missed all these chats, but I really, really appreciate you for helping me out there.
I appreciate you.
All right, so thank you so much. All right. So, like I said, if anybody wants to call in, the link is posted to the top of the chat. We can have a conversation about any question that you have. Like Jamar, if you want to call in, like you don't have to be on camera or anything, but if you I can help you strategize and I think that'd be a fun thing to do. So feel free to hit the link and call in and we could definitely do that. Quick message real quick. All right. Let's get to our next question.
Another one.
Coding interview. As I am grinding away lead code preparing for a live coding interview for a QA automation engineer role, I am realizing I can't do any of them. I can do a couple of easy ones, but that's it. Every time I fail, self doubt plus equals equals one. I've set up front end and back end API automation testing frameworks from scratch, but I can't even pass medium lead code problems. Am I going crazy or do I just suck? How were your interviews? I am contemplating branching off to BA or DevOps at this point. Well, that's unfortunate. Guess what? I, Tech Coach Ralph, have never used lead code yet. And timer up. I have never used lead code yet. I have never even been to their website. Maybe I'll check it out to see what all the hype is about because I've seen quite a few people talking about lead code and stuff like that. Um, in my previous positions, I have I've done. Let me think. Let me think back. Right. All right. Give me. Cool. All right. So in my previous positions, I have seen. I have seen. Let me think. So I've done technical projects, right, where I have to automate through certain flows and I'm able to show my automation work that way. I've done a I've done hacker rank challenges in the past. I've done I think that's it. I think oh no. And applying there was another site, I think it was like called Triple Bytes or something like that. I forgot the name of that one, but I have done like these tests and stuff like that. Um, so, but I never did lead code challenges. Never really had the, I never was requested to. Like, I don't know, are companies asking for lead code? I've seen a few people mention lead code, and stuff like that, but I never been to their site. I know like at the companies that are, yeah, I know like the company, when I do interviews, it's mostly like when I'm interviewing people, I'm mostly reviewing their technical project. But here's the interesting thing, right? Um, Nothing like, I don't know. People are always complaining about what they have to do to get a job. Like I think that on like in our candid conversations, we reviewed this plenty of times where people are talking about, oh, I had to do a challenge. Oh, I had to do a test. And, you know, if you don't want to do it, then don't. And, back out of the application, back out of the application process. They're complaining about how many rounds of interviews that they have. Um, am I a big fan of like testing for positions? I am not, right? I think that because some people are great test takers and some people are not great test takers, right? Um, I personally like to see the quality of the work that you do and how you're able to articulate yourself. I also want to see like your communication skills, how you're able to explain the work that you did, right? I'll give you this example. When I was at two companies ago, and I was hiring for QA, I used the hacker rank to create a test, right? But the people who actually got to take the test, I would like if their resume like met the criteria that we were looking for, then we would send them the test, and based on the test, then we'd see if we'd like actually have them interview, right? But here's the thing with that. I reviewed every single test because let's say somebody got like a 50%, right? I think I interviewed somebody who had like a 46%, right? But the thing is, I also looked at their answers, at the ones that they got wrong. I looked at the writing answers to see like what they said, and I took all of that into consideration because somebody might get like they might have been a good test taker, they might have answered like all the questions correctly, and they got like a 67 or something, right? But then when I'm reviewing the response, I'm like, like I don't see the right mindset. Like they know these particular answers, right? So my thing is, if the end all be all is going to be lead code, right? I don't think that that can give you an accurate reflection of the quality of the Q engineer that you're getting, right? I can't speak for development or anything like that because I cannot evaluate a developer, but I can evaluate Q engineers. And if we are only basing it on the quality of a website, right? Then it's not going to be like it's not going to be your best bet. I remember like some of the tests that I took, like I thought I did terribly on it. But then I still was contacted for another round of the interview. So I wouldn't put too much weight into the test. I would say, and I would say use the test as an opportunity to see like what are the things that you're doing that you're having troubles with as things for you to improve on, right? I believe that everything is a learning opportunity and you should continue to get better in everything that you do. So don't get discouraged. Don't look to quit your job in QA because you're having trouble with lead tests, right? Lead code, whatever they call that site, right? Don't look to quit because of that. I would say that you must continue to push forward, to continue to persevere because because that's how we get better, right? And that's how we grow, and that's how you're going to get to that next level. If you quit every time things get challenging, you will never accomplish anything because life itself is a challenge, but it is a challenge that is worth going through. All right. So, shout out to that question. All right. All right. All right. Where are we at so far? Okay. We are on question number 7 tonight. All right. let's get to it. So, like I said, if you want to call in, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, and I am going to drop it in the chat one more time in case you want to call in. All right. So let's go to our next question.
Another one.
All right. QA to data engineering. I've been contemplating a shift from QA, quality assurance, to data engineering, and I'm looking for some valuable insights from those who made the leap or are already thriving in the data engineering field. If you've ventured into data engineering, could you please share your experiences? What led you to this direction and how did you prepare for it? Was the transition challenging? Do you find satisfaction in your new role? One of my concerns is whether my salary would see a significant improvement with data engineering. How has your salary progression been since making the switch? Additionally, I've always been drawn to the coding side of QA, but not so much the manual aspects. How do you find data engineering in comparison to QA when it comes to coding and other aspects of the job? I'm excited about the prospect of new opportunities and higher earning potential in data engineering, but I want to ensure I'll enjoy the work. Any advice or thoughts are greatly appreciated. Thanks for sharing your valuable insights, and you are very, very welcome. All right, so let's see. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. Shout out to you. I look forward to speaking to you as well. Perfect. All right. So let's do this. Okay. So I almost said it's funny, right? Because I I actually forgot. Believe it or not, I forgot that I did data engineering, right? Um, at my last company, right? Very interesting turn of events happened. So they got rid of their data and analytics team, and they needed somebody to fill the gap until they figured out what they were going to do. So they said, "Hey, would you be interested in learning about data engineering?" And I was like, "No," but I did it anyways, right? Because I was like, "Hey, it's a good opportunity to learn a little bit more." Um, and mostly what I was doing was maintaining the existing workflows that the previous that the they call them the DNA team, right? The DNA team were handling. So I got familiar with using um SSMS, S. Let me see what those. I can't remember those acronyms. So SSMS is SQL Server Management Studio, and then we had SSIS, which was SQL Integration Services, right? So, and I was using VS Code as well, right? Visual Studio's VS Code with the SSM. So many different. What is it? SSMS. I don't know. There's so many SS things in there, right? But that's what I was using, right? And I got very familiar with extracting data. It was pretty much ETL process, right? Extracting data, transforming the data, and loading it into another environment. That's pretty much what I was doing. And I got pretty good at it, right? And it was cool, but it, I ultimately in that aspect of data engineering, right? Ultimately enjoyed QA more than I enjoyed that aspect of data engineering. However, I would say though, if I had to go to if I had to move out of QA to another position, I would have used I would go to data engineering, right? I would go to data engineering and data science where I can go into machine learning because that part is, to me, that is much more exciting than the type of data engineering I was doing before because it was only ETL and I got to do some really cool stuff, right? I must say, I got to do some really cool stuff, but I was still doing QA at the time and I was responsible for the QA automation and all that stuff, right? But if I had no choice but to leave QA to another role, or if I did have a choice, right? I would go to data engineering and I would focus on like I'd be focused on like working with Python, doing like pandas, NumPy, matplotlibs. I would work on like scikit to do like the machine learning and the predictive and all that stuff, right? I find all of that stuff very, very fascinating. So when I did some research on data engineering for like ETL developers, I forgot the exact title that it was. Let me pull up the resume and find out what it was. Right? Uh, yeah, on this one, I was a integration engineer. That's what it was, right? Integration engineer. So I was pretty much moving data all over the place, right? Extracting data. Um, and when I checked for the position for integration engineer, I didn't see the I didn't see for the amount of work that I had to do that the salary met it. So I was like, I'm better off being a QA engineer. However, when it comes to data engineering, like with with Python, because I'm still working through the class about that. Using Python, using the pandas, using the NumPy, using the matplotlibs. I find that absolutely fascinating, and I want to get into like the more analysis and stuff like that. Being able to pull in CSV files. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing with the I found myself using some of these um some of these tools and packages and libraries in the stuff that I do for QA, right? Um Being able to pull in data, extract data, things like that. Um like I was saying the other day, I think it was last week, right? I was saying that I had a call with somebody that I had suggested they use APIs to be able to pull in the data that they're using to compile for their data science project, right? I said, use the APIs instead of going to the website. And I'm like, okay, the reason that I was able to share with them how to use the APIs to pull in the data is because I use that in my QA in my QA engineering to use API to use APIs and like using the Python request or maybe using rest assured, whatever the case may be, to pull in the data. And now once you put in the data, now you can put it into the right structure. You can like I was mentioning for Jamar, you can pull in the data and put inside of a database, and you can use that database as your source. So many things that you do in QA, they are translated to other areas, right? And when you approach it with that QA mindset, you are very focused to details. Like you're very focused on the things that are happening, right? So that's the part that I find absolutely fascinating, you know, um, and that when you that's why for me, I can easily pick up on these skills and transfer and transition. And guess what? When I asked in the chat to Tina Huang about how do QA engineers play a role in data science, right? Um, and the data engineering team, she gave me a very nice comprehensive answer of like, oh, they this is what they need QA for. So being from that QA mindset already, I think that if I was to end up transitioning to data engineering, that I would be able to provide some valuable insight and thinking process of like what QA is checking for, so we can have like a more robust, testing ability and ability to get the data that we need and everything to that extent, right? So that's why I would say that, if you really wanted to make the jump to data engineering, first and foremost, you need to learn all the things about data engineering. For depending on the type of engineering that you're doing as well, then you might have a good pay increase, but you got to be good at what you're doing as well. And I would say definitely leverage your QA engineering skills into your data engineering, but you got to ramp up and everything like that. Um, And like for the integration engineering, I didn't find the coding that I was doing for data engineering to be as much as what I did for QA. But when I look at the data engineering, when you're doing like that you do with Python, I do find it to be it's a little bit more, but also very comparable to what you do in QA because it's just a difference in creativity and the things that you're working on, right? But they all work together and they all need one another. So I don't think you could necessarily go wrong if you were to go into data engineering. Um, but it just depends on you. All right. So shout out to that question. I have to say I really really enjoy what I learned in data engineering and working with data engineers. So I'm going to my plan is to continue learning data engineering and to leverage it into the things that I do on my own. Not necessarily go into it for a career, but you never know. But definitely to continue learning it and leverage it as best as I can, and help coach data engineers as well. Right? All right. So D said he booked a call with me for Thursday. He will wait until then to ask his questions. Awesome. I cannot wait to talk to you, and I appreciate you booking that call. All right. Let's go to our next question. All right. So, this is a topic that we've touched on before.
Another one.
I regret pursuing the PhD. I'm 34 years old. After undergrad, I worked in the corporate world making six figures in human resources. 7 years into the career, I felt like my work wasn't impactful. After meeting my partner, we moved from California to the Midwest. 2019 to 2021, I pursued my master's in counseling. 2021 to the present, I've been pursuing my PhD in counseling psychology. I regret I regret not assessing the pay of psychologists prior to going back to school. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary is less than what I made in HR by tens of thousands of dollars annually. I didn't factor in annual pay raises of 3% or growth in my career as a manager and eventual leader in the field. I didn't understand the corporate ladder at that time. The older I get, the more pressing saving for retirement and having a 401k gets. They say follow your passion. I don't say that. But from someone who did just that, I don't think that's good advice. Find passions in hobbies, family, and friends. Set financial goals and save, save, save so that your job is motivating in that way. Spend time with loved ones. The stress of a PhD may result in a divorce and strange relationships. Unfortunately, that was the case for me. Damn, I didn't even get to this part when I was sourcing this question. I have 2 years and 8 months left of school, followed by another year of postdoc training to get some hours to become a licensed psychologist. I'm leaning toward it not being worth it to finish. Better quit. Oops, sorry. It's wild to me how some professions like psychologists, despite the years of training required, do not pay well compared to industry jobs or other fields like medicine or nursing. Is this relatable for anyone else? Anyone else leave a corporate job to go back to school, or did I fall into a trap most people know to avoid? Woo. Mm, mm, mm. How you like them apples? So, so. This one might need it. 10 minutes, right? So let's go back to the top, right? Put our 5 minutes up, and we are good to go. This is highly unfortunate, but if you search the Tech Coach Ralph YouTube database, you will find a video called, what is the name of that video? I will, I will put it in the chat as well. But let's see. Yeah, it's called Why Follow Your Passion is the Worst Career and Life Advice, right? I will put that in the chat for you too because that video is very, very important to take to look into, right? I do not believe in following your passion. It is not good for you, right? So you were making six figures. You left your job in human resources. Um, you were in there for 7 years. You left your job because you didn't feel that it was impactful, right? I don't know. Like people need to define what impact means, right? What impactful means, because for me, right, what's impactful for me is being able to take care of myself, take care of my family, being able to and in HR, right, you are technically taking care of a lot of people. You're making sure that the company is protected. You're making sure that the employees are protected. That employees, that everything is in place. That people are getting paid on time. Like, you know what? If you make sure that I get paid on time, you are one of the most impactful people in my life. All right. And you know what? I don't even mind if you get paid handsomely to do it, right? Because as long as the checks keep flowing, I am happy, right? And there's so many other stuff that HR handles. It's like I think they might be undervalued, right? Because they have to like get everything, from hiring process and make sure that all paperwork is filled and all that crazy stuff, right? I I could not do HR to be honest with you. I don't think I have the emotional fortitude to do that. All right. So you left your job, right? And you moved to from California to the Midwest, and you pursued your master's in counseling, right? And so another thing I've said, right? People don't adequately research before they're so emotional, they just make these decisions, and then they find out that it wasn't the right choice, right? And it has to take maybe a year or two to get your master's, and you didn't do the research. So it took you 2 years, right, to get your master's, right? You didn't do any research. Like, how much money can I make with my master's, right? And then now from 2021 to 20 to we're in 2023 right now. You're pursuing your PhD in counseling, and you never checked how much you get paid, right? So now you're gonna make a bunch more money less. You broke up your family, right? You climbed the corporate ladder, you quit, and you broke up your family. You don't have any savings, and now you're realizing that follow your passion is crap. I'm going to apologize because I did not make this video about forgetting following your passion to chase success instead, right? I should have made that back in 2018, and hopefully you would have seen that video and it would have saved you from misery, right? It is very unfortunate, but I'm happy that you're able to share that following your passion is crap and that is terrible advice, right? Like I said, it's the worst career advice. And in your case, it actually translated to your life as well, which is highly unfortunate. So, what do you do now, though? Right? What do you do now? Right? You have another 2 years left. So it's going to take you from 2021 to 2025 to get a PhD that you don't even use, or that was not going to make you any money. Like, honestly, I don't believe in quitting, but I believe in quitting things that don't make any sense, right? Things that you should never started, you should probably quit those, right? Um, I don't know. It's like you said, your passion could be in hobbies, family, and friends, right? Um, you don't let and you know what? And that's why people end up in so much student loan debt, right? How much is it costing you to how much is it costing you to get this PhD, right? Probably in the hundreds of thousands to make probably half of that. What, 50, $60,000 a year? It doesn't make any sense, right? And you know, you said it's wild to you that some professions like psychologists, despite the years of training required, do not pay well. Social workers can go for years of training as well. You can be like, aren't school counselors like for the public school system like masters or PhDs or something like that, and they barely crack 50K, right? Let's do a quick look. Salary for school guidance counselor. 40K to 86K per year. 40K to 72K per year. 30K to 76K per year, right? Uh Salary for HR director, maybe? Salary for HR director. 130K to 220K per year. See, like I said in that video, you need to realign your passion, right? Have your passion to make money doing something that you're good at, right? Not about your feelings, not about whatever, you know. It's about what makes sense, you know? And and right, like you said, for the things that are your hobbies, you know, for your passions, put those in your hobbies. But what I do is I put my passion in the stuff that will not only work as my career and make money, right? Because I I control my passions, right? So I'm like, okay, um, I get paid nicely for doing QA. So I'm gonna make QA my passion, right? I have other passions as well, right? I like to cook steak, I like to grill, I like to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? But what's always going to take precedence is my passion to get paid and make money, right? And then I can take that passion and I can share that passion with you to teach you because I like to code, I like to test, I like data engineering, and I can take that and I can share it with you. I can coach you and all that good stuff, right? So, that being said, do not like we have to do research before we just go out and do these crazy things, right? And this is the reason why there's so much student loan debt, like trillions of dollars in student loan debt, right? And people begging for forgiveness. It's not coming, right? You made a decision to go into these bad majors, right? You and like for you in particular, right? I would say, um, go back go back to HR. Go make your six figures. Fix your family, right? Fix your divorce. Don't unstrain your relationships, right? Is it worth some degree that you're not like you're gonna make so much less money in? Is it worth it? That doesn't that doesn't sound like a passion to me. It sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like a burden. I don't like burdens, right? So you might have to reanalyze that. Is it worth it? I would say fix your family. And is it relatable for anyone else? I would say it's relatable to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are engulfed in student loan debt. You're not alone, right? And here's the thing. Most of them didn't even have the opportunity to have a corporate job and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most of them, they went straight out from high school or whatever they're doing, and they went straight into some useless major, and then they just accumulated so much student loan debt and to maybe work as a Starbucks barista or a server at Chili's or something like that, right? Um, and don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with working as a Starbucks barista or working at Chili's. The problem is when you spend so much money in student loan debt to get a job where you're barely making any money and you can't pay it back, and now you're asking me, who made better decisions, to help you pay your student loan. I don't want to do that. All right, sorry, I don't want to do that. So that is the situation that we're in. Okay, so yeah, I would say try to go back to what you were doing before. Jump ship. Get rid like no one's gonna look. I would do this if you were to tell me that you were to quit that PhD and you went back to making your six figures as a HR director or whatever position that you had in HR. I would go like this. All right. So my recommendation to you is get rid of that PhD program. You know, what's the word to you know, the losses. I forgot the terminology, but you know, let it go and try to go back to that job that you had in HR. Fix your family. Go back to your husband or your wife. I'm not sure if it's a male or female writing this, but go back to your husband or your wife. Fix your strained relationships, and you know, find a different hobby. Right? Start a YouTube channel and talk to people on YouTube, and you know, use the psychology stuff that you learned there. You know, and go from there. But don't don't waste your life, right? You're 34. By the time you finish your PhD, you're gonna be like 37, and you're not gonna have any money. You're not gonna have any savings. You're gonna have a bunch of student loan debt that you're going to be begging for forgiveness for. It's not worth it. All right, go back to what you're doing. Make your money. Fix your family. Fix your relationships, and get a hobby. Maybe try Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I find that for me to be the best therapy ever because I am trying to protect, I'm trying to save myself from being choked out by people twice my size. So, you know, maybe that'll be your passion, all right? All right. We are at our last question, unless there's anything in the chat or somebody calls in. The line is open for you to call in. All right. So let's get to it. The last question.
Another one.
Thinking about a job offer. I recently received a job offer via LinkedIn over a recruiter. I currently work as a QA engineer for a bank, and I have been approached to work for a small company which closely works with banks and companies in the finance sector. They were initially looking to fill a pure software testing role, but within my current job, I bring more skills than they were looking for, and they want me to be their QA manager. The problem is they have nothing. I would have to build up everything up from scratch. Don't threaten me with a good time. This gives me a bit of a weird feeling. Here are some pain points. Developers are outsourced, get updates, and we are responsible for testing and deliver feedback. Developers don't have unit tests or integration tests. How is this even a thing? They apparently only test if buttons have functionalities. What the beep? They are so far they so far plan to have 4 releases a year. They use Excel for test case documentation. Basically, I am currently a little confused and indecisive. I would get a decent salary raise opposed to my current job. Also, it seems as if I could really build up QA structure as my colleagues are young but inexperienced. I right now just don't know what to do and feel a little overwhelmed as in how will I create the structure and improve the processes they currently have? I feel like I could improve and change, and on top of that, gain insane experience of being a QA manager slash tech lead, but also a little worried or helpless. Any tips, discussions, experiences, feelings, questions to share? I'm still pretty young and would like to get some thoughts of people that maybe have experienced similar situations. Oh my God. What a beautiful, beautiful opportunity, right? So here's the thing, right? While me personally, I am not like I've been in management positions before. I'm not the craziest person about it, but this is such a great opportunity, especially like working in the banking and finance sector, you know. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Come close, right? The opportunity that you have to pioneer, right? To lead, to innovate. It's it's not often that you get approached like this, right? And the thing is, if you watch any of my resume videos, right, the key to having a resume that stands out is that you want to have accomplishments. You want to say, I was able to come into this company and be able to solve this problem, that problem, that problem. I put this into place, that into place, everything like that, right? So everything, all the pain points that you have listed here, I see those as opportunities. I see those as challenges to tackle, to improve the company's processes. So that might sound selfish, right? Because well, I would love to help the company as well. You always have to think about how are you also going to help yourself. And being said, you are going to help yourself by solving these issues, right? And gaining that experience and the amount of money that you're going to make by being the QA manager is going to be substantial, right? And you get to, try different things. If it fails, you pivot, you adjust, right? You see what works, right? So let's go through these point by point, right? This is the last question of the night, so I'm not even gonna put the timer up on this one, right? Let's get rid of the timer. All right. So it says, so let's go point by point, right? Developers are outsourced, get updates, and we are responsible for testing and deliver feedback. So being the QA manager, you get to change that process. You get like you get to strategize, say, okay, what works, right? The way that we're doing it right now, it is not efficient, it doesn't work. We are going to make an adjustment. And guess what? If they're in a different time zone and you're the QA manager, like, hey, we need to have these meetings at a time that everyone's available. We're not going to be spending like 24-hour cycles before we can actually get feedback and make changes and start working. No. So you implement the process like, okay, we need to be available for a stand up, at this particular time, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how it's going to work. If it doesn't work for you, then we might have to make adjustments. We might have to shift the way that we work with developers and stuff, right? How like you get to choose that, right? The developers don't have unit and integration tests, right? You are responsible for quality, right? And you have the ability to demand it, right? Say we like the test, the quality assurance fails without adequate test coverage, right? We are not going to be using our testing capabilities to be your unit test and your integration test, right? Um, we'll gladly test the APIs, we'll gladly test the UI, we'll gladly help you come up with testing strategies for your unit test on what to cover. But if you do not have unit tests, integration tests, the quality standards fail, right? And then as the quality manager, because unit testing and integration testing, although it's something that the developers primarily do, it falls under quality, right? So I would implement code, like write stories, implement code coverage um, metric reporting tools so that you can know so that you can have the code quality, right? And if the developers are outsourced, they have to do what you say. They're outsourced, right? They're contractors. They have to do what you say. So if you outsource, like, hey, we want to add this code coverage tool into our project, they have to do it, right? Like they're not the boss of you, right? So they plan to have 4 releases a year. I mean, it depends on what type of software that you're doing. If you're like if you're releasing like SaaS applications, then sometimes some companies they have 3 releases, 3 major releases a year, while they have like mini releases like every 2 weeks. You need to figure out that part, right? But I wouldn't let that stop me, right? And so they have 4 releases planned a year. Um, you need to get more context about that to see like is it really just 4? Because it's terrible to do like major upgrades all at once, right? So see if they still plan to do like mini releases every so often, or are you working on like some type of desktop application? It just depends, right? They use Excel for test case documentation. That is like as the QA manager, you can make a case for using um a test case management system, right? Where you can document your test cases, document your test runs, create your test suites, have your automation linked to it to update the results, whatever the case may be, right? You're not see if you come in as a QA tester or just a QA engineer, you are very limited in what you can offer. But as a QA manager, you are able to influence, right? Not that you can't do it as a QA engineer, but as a QA manager, your voice is bigger because you are in management and you can influence and you can be the voice for QA, right? You can influence the tools that we use. You can influence the softwares that we use. You can get the budgets that we need to get these softwares, to get these tools, right? When I was working at certain companies, I was able to all like I wasn't like management, but I pretty much managed the offshore QA resources, and I was able to influence the company to get us the right tools, the right test case management systems that we needed to be able to successfully run our QA team, right? So as the QA manager, you have all of that influence, right? It is a great opportunity. Um, I think what you're facing is like it's a bit of a fear, right? Maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome, right? Which everyone does, but a lot of times what I've seen is the company believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And that's unfortunate, right? Because I think that you are more than capable to do what you need to do, right? They see it in you. Why can't you see it in yourself, right? And the fact that you could really like build the QA structure, you can mentor your young colleagues who are inexperienced, right? I think that is such a great like you so much value can be taken out of this opportunity. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? But you don't like I think it was Michael Jordan who said this, right? You miss all the shots that you don't take, right? This is such a great opportunity for you, right? And how you can put your thumbprint on a company, a small company at that, right? A small banking fund, like so many great opportunities here, right? You can use like your knowledge because you're already in the banking industry, right? And so you can see how a good structure would go for a small company, and you can like and you know about the regulations and all that stuff. You can really leave lasting impact onto the company, onto the younger QA engineers that you be mentoring, and most importantly, most importantly, on your bank account, right? So I think that it'll be such a great opportunity for you to pass up. And I am actually going to reach out to you directly because I don't think that you have much to be worried about. And that I think and maybe you get some coaching, right? And that you have someone who has experience in the field who can help you and give you some advice, give you some guidance in the different things that is going on so that you don't have to have these like feelings of doubt and of imposter syndrome and of inexperience, right? The sky is the limit for you, and I don't think that you need to fear, right? So that is our last question of the night. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging with me tonight as we answered these questions. I want to give a special thank to D for being here and for helping me fix my audio issues. I did not see that, and sometimes like when you sometimes you don't always see that because I can't hear myself when I'm speaking. I should probably get a mic monitor or something like that. But I really appreciate you for catching that for me. I appreciate Melissa for being here, for asking those amazing questions about the P set because I was totally unfamiliar about that. But like I told you, keep going with your Python and your JavaScript. You'll be just fine. I appreciate Jamar Parker. I'm going to reach out to you personally because I think I can provide you some valuable insight into that question that you had. I wish I had seen it earlier so I could have answered it while you were there. But I will reach out to you. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna reach out to you so that I can offer that insight to you. All right. And I want to thank Miss Randy for being here earlier in the show, and I want to thank Don for that amazing article that he wrote. I think that it was great. And if you haven't done so yet, check out the article. I will add it to the description of the video as well, so you can check it out and you can see how invaluable, right? Not devalued, but how invaluable, how essential that having strong software development engineers in test and QA engineers, how essential they are to the team and how they are one of the last line of defenses and protections to the company. All right. So that's our show for tonight, right? If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can know every time that we go live and every time we drop a new video. And like the video, share the video. And if you haven't done so yet, check out the Patreon, see all the information that's in there. It's not that expensive. And you get access to send me a message in there. I make sure I respond to you. And you get access to the videos that I'm dropping that will help you level up in your tech career. And then you also have the opportunity to sign up for tiers that have one-on-one coaching calls with me, where I will, help you level up your career. But the time has come for me to depart tonight. I really appreciate you guys for being here. And if you're catching it on the replay, I really appreciate you for spending the time to watch the video. But until Thursday night, when we are live again, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. And until next time, this is Tech Coach Ralph signing off.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Hear me, warriors of the North. Today we have tasted the sweet nectar of victory. Our foes may defeated, and their lands are now bound before us. The gods themselves have favored our glorious deeds on this glorious day. We have shed blood, sweat, and tears to claim this land. Our relentless spirit, our unyielding determination. These are the very essence of our people. It's been our ancestors rejoice in the halls of Valhalla. For today, we have added to their eternal glory. Our victories will echo throughout the ages, and our names will be etched in the annals of history. But let us not forget the present pain, the brothers and sisters we lost. They now feast in the hall of our forefathers, watching over us with pride. Their sacrifice has paved the way for this moment of triumph. Heaven sunbreak his conquests. And it's all to remember that our journey is far from over. More land awaits our conquest, more battles upon us forth. And the fire in our hearts burn ever brighter, for there is no limit to what we can achieve. To those who dare stand against us, let them tremble in fear. For they shall witness the fury of the northern storm, the wrath of the untamed barbarians. Today we celebrate our victory. Tomorrow, we set our sights on new horizons. A charted land where our banners will fly high. When we're Vikings, we're barbarians, we're the masters of conquest.